Hey guys, thank you so much for joining me today on the final highs and lows review video from 2017. I hope you all enjoy it. Right, I'm Chip from the Digital Grandstand and today we're taking a look at the world champions, Mercedes. After 3 years of total domination really, for Toto Wolff and the Silver Wolf Pack, anything other than a season at the top of the food chain would be a warm fart. As it happened, it was much more tense than perhaps we've all expected, but in the end it was Mercedes, top of the pile once more. The W08 machine was both an evolution of its highly successful predecessors and also a Mercedes-branded Aero 2017 monster, where Ferrari and Red Bull opted for a shorter wheelbase and a high rake concept. Mercedes built a plinth, the longest F1 car on the 2017 grid. As a concept, it was plain to see why. The Silver Boys were going for high-speed aero efficiency, low drag and engine grunt to power through any challenge. And to hell with the weight. Seriously, the car was some 8 kilos heavier than it should have been. Not the best of signs. Overall, it felt like a low. Now, on the driver's front. They had a pickle in early 2017. Newly crowned world champ Nico Rosberg said to them, well, that was great, now I want to be a stay-at-home dad and husband. Good for you, said Mercedes, but who should we take instead? Well, Valtteri Bottas was the obvious choice, as the Finn had quite a few good years at Williams and was formerly managed by Toto. The deal came as a surprise to very few people, so Hamilton and Bottas it was. A 3 times champion of the world and a laconic Finn with loads of talent, potential and hunger. High. Now, for both pre-season testing and the Australian Grand Prix, Mercedes gets a high and a low. Ferrari really turned heads in testing, while Mercedes stuck to their program. Down under, Hamilton and Bottas both got to the podium, but the team messed up a bit the strategy, as Lewis was unable to pass Verstappen, thus relinquishing the win to Vettel. In China, Lewis bounced back with a vengeance. Pole position, fastest lap, led every lap, race victory. Boom! As Ricciardo would say, and a high from me. Valtteri had quite an odd showing. He fell prey to Vettel in quali and during the early safety car period in the race he managed to spin on a wet track, dropping back quite a few places. Low, 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 as the song teaches us. Bahrain on the whole has to be another low. From a 1-2 in quali, both Mercs dropped behind Sebastian and had to settle for a P2, P3 at the flag. It marked the very first pole for Bottas, but Sunday is where the points are scored. Next up was Russia, and this one was really odd for the two halves of Mercedes. Valtteri made the mother of all starts, took the lead from the Ferraris into turn 1, kept Vettel at bay and scored his maiden victory. Remarkable race, definitely a high. As for Lewis, now, he was quite baffled by how the car was behaving on the highly adhesive track surface at Sochi. His driving style is ferociously powerful on low grip tracks. Hamilton has this incredible feel for grip that is almost unique in F1 these days. In truth, this style of pushing the braking points to the absolute limit prevent the car from sliding 1 millimeter, thus keeping the tires alive for longer, these were the reasons for him winning the 2014 and 2015 championships. Now, at Sochi, this style of his did more harm than good. With the track as adhesive as it was, he tried to overdrive the hulking Mercedes, but the car wouldn't play ball. It was big, it was cumbersome really, and it was in fact a bit of a diva. Simply put, Bottas gently tamed the beast, Hamilton tried to pin it to the track, and that didn't work. Low. The Spanish GP was a monumental high for Lewis though, and a great spectacle for us all. The Hamilton vs Vettel duel at that race was almost 10 years in the making. As short as it was just fantastic to see those two side by side. On the other side of the garage, a low is due. Valtteri had to retire mid-race as his engine expired, although it is worth mentioning. This was the only mechanical failure at Mercedes in the whole of 2017. Madness! Monaco is just one crushing low for the Silver Arrows. Their lumbering machine was no match for the short and agile Ferraris and Red Bulls on the streets of Monte Carlo. Bottas salvaged the P4 finish, but Hamilton was nowhere, still fighting with the reluctant diva on a circuit that was really not its cup of tea. For Canada, Mercedes gets the perfect high. The first 1-2 of Hamilton and Bottas as teammates, with their main rivals finishing some way down. Absolutely fantastic performance. And then there was Azerbaijan. And I really don't know how to rate it. I mean, Hamilton had the perfect race, right up to the moment his headrest tried to escape. Valtteri, on the contrary, he started quite badly, jumping off curbs into the side of Raikkonen, dropping to the back of the field, then demolishing any competition with his drive to P2. On the other hand though, this race should have been an easy 1-2. A P2 and P5 at the flag is anything but. As we're ranking the team's performance here, I won't give this race neither a high nor a low. The Austrian GP is a high though, but only just. Sure, Valtteri's victory deserves all the plaudits in the world, especially for him withstanding Sebastian's attacks. Hamilton, meanwhile, had to start from P8 after an unscheduled gearbox change and fought his way back up to P4, but Ricciardo was a nut too tough to crack even for him. Great Britain, just like Canada, ranks as the highest of highs. A dominant display by Lewis in front of his home crowd and a spirited drive by Valtteri coupled with a horrid end of the race for Ferrari translated into another silver 1-2. As for the Hungarian Grand Prix, that was interesting. Just like Sochi and Monaco, this track favored Ferrari, but Hamilton was now more at ease with the W08 machine. His Q3 runs were mediocre, so that hurt him in the actual race, but he managed to keep up with his teammate and the sick Ferrari of Vettel throughout the race. Hungary also marks a quite good example of fair play in Formula 1. Hamilton asked the team to let him pass Bottas so he can attack the struggling Ferraris. The team accepted, and at the end of the race, having failed to pass Raikkonen, Lewis kept his word and allowed Valtteri to take P3. Great teamwork, but their performances earn a low. Hamilton scored another win in Belgium with, in my humble view, his best race of the past 5 years, battling hard with Sebastian for victory. Bottas was nowhere that day and had to settle for a very disheartening P5. Low. Contrasting the sublime high of Lewis. Italy, for more than one reason, gets another high. For starters, Hamilton's Q3 lap in the wet was, well, simply out of this world. He made everyone else look one or several levels beneath him. As for the race, a 1-2 for Mercedes was almost always a given considering the high-speed nature of Monza. But still, it had to be delivered on track. And delivered it did. Now, Singapore and what should have been a fairly meh Grand Prix turned out to be a massive high for Hamilton and the team. After the Max Kimi-Seb fiasco, Lewis roared away, creating this big gap to the rest of the pack. This was all both brilliantly thought of and executed, as the Brit was underfueled compared to others in order to have a lighter car, and it worked a treat. Malaysia, Japan, USA. All these account to one high courtesy of Hamilton and one low mainly for Bottas. Lewis drove in a cerebral fashion with his eyes firmly on the championship. Great thinking, but it kinda killed the spectacle somewhat, especially in Malaysia against Verstappen. Bottas was just there in these races, never once failing to score solid points, but never once delivering something close to a top drive. And so we arrive at Mexico, where Hamilton got his 4th title and helped the team score a big low. As a top 3 racer in F1 at the moment, possibly even top 2, His scruffy encounter with Vettel and Verstappen on that first lap was immature, and his subsequent drive to P9 was just meh, as was Valtteri's to P2. Brazil ranks as another overall low, as Hamilton's mind was full of championship glory and he would have rather been anywhere else than on track apparently. And Bottas blew a pole position start, dropping behind Vettel and came home in P2. Again. Finally, for Abu Dhabi, the Silver Arrows get a high. A 1-2 at the end of the season was just what they needed to enter the winter break in high spirits. And Bottas won, so you know. Good for him. Both Mercedes and Hamilton really had to fight this last year. Ferrari gave them more than a few scares, and even Red Bull on occasions. Another championship double was earned, but this one has to rank as the sweetest. But they did it. They did it as a team. Bravo, Mercedes. An overall high is well and truly earned. As is the one for the racers. Yes, Bottas had a mid-season slump. Yes, Hamilton was a bit miffed by the diva early on and had a couple of meh weekends on the tail end of the season. But they kept strong, raced hard and fair. Great job, guys. Now, the whole show is about to start once more. And Mercedes are still top of the food chain. Ferrari, Red Bull, maybe even Renault and McLaren will try to change that. So stay tuned, as 2018 might just be an even harder challenge for Mercedes. Thanks everyone for sticking out until now. I hope you've enjoyed this Mercedes review. What do you think of the world champions? Will they face even more competition this year or just roar away once more? Let me know in the comments. If you've enjoyed this video, please drop a like and subscribe to this channel for more F1 related content. Share this review with a racing fan that you think might enjoy it, as we will grow this community together. As always, I've been Chip from the Digital Grandstand. You can chat to me more directly on Facebook and Twitter, you have the links in the description. I'll see you again very soon, guys.